All right, welcome back, everyone. Today's episode, I'm kind of excited. We have a fun little thing to do here called I created called the Forbes 21 under 21. So I thought it'd be cool to do a list, and I know I've already failed because I have like 25 guys on the list, but it doesn't sound as cool. So we're gonna, I have a special guest on here, my boy Gamma. What's up?
Not much, not much. I'm very excited to be here. This is my second time on a TLG show. Other GM is not here, so are you worried about your future now that you're co-hosting with me? Try to get over the Gamma curse.
As long as it's out of the park, I always feel comfortable. I love this game. I can talk about it for all hours, even if it annoys people. So today's episode, we have. I just want to go over the top prospects. I kind of mentioned to Gamma earlier before we went on the air. Just I thought it'd be really cool. It's really hard, especially if people don't spend as much time on the game. They're busier with work and kids and stuff. That it's just hard to keep track of the prospects once you go in the future. Especially because in real life, when you start the game, right, like it's obvious, like Bobby Witt, Adley Rushman, everyone knows that without having to look it up. We're at the point now where it's like, it'd be a real life superstar 18-year-old, but if you're not like paying attention to everything in the international and writing down the names and making short lists, you lose track of them. So I thought this would kind of help everybody and just be fun to kind of rank the top guys and we made like a quick little top 20 list, top 10 or 12 position players, top 10 or 12 pitchers. So kind of see who those young future stars are, not necessarily the OSA list because they have a bunch of guys in their early 20s. But this is the real young guns, the teenage international guys and the top high school draft guys from the last few years. So I'll start off. I'll start with Gamma's guy here because there's no bias just because he's on the prospect. I think he really is the number one player in the league under the age of 21. This guy has a historically great bat. It's just not even close if you do a filter of the league under 21 years old and sort by contact. I think it's 20 higher than everybody else. So what's your opinion on the young superstar Adrian Leduc and what he did for you so far?
Well, I'm completely unbiased as well, and I agree with you that he is the number one prospect by far, bar none. I would probably trade Soto 1-for-1 for him and run away with that deal. But Adrian, I'm very excited about. I think a player I told you he kind of reminds me of is I don't know any 90s or mid 2000 fans, but like Nomar Garcia Parra, because he's a guy who doesn't walk a lot, but he hits the ball and he hits the ball hard. So he's gonna make up for that with his avoid K and contact. So I really don't care that he has a low I. I see him as the face of the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I knew he'd be good. Like you were mentioned calling him up. I didn't think he'd be that good that fast. Like if you look at what he did in just a month and a half or whatever it was, 52 games, the guy hit 300. The guy only had a 3% walk rate, like you said, but the eye got better at the end of the year. I had to go up like 10 in the last month. So it should be way higher next year, maybe 5 or 7%. The thing that stands out to me is the 140 OPS plus with the high ISO with crazy power. 14 home runs in 50 games. That's what, like a 40, 45 home run pace over a whole season?
Yeah, something about that. Like I see 40 plus potential, and he's only 20. So that's the thing. He's going to get better. So I'm very excited about Adrian.
Really cool that he's from Haiti too. A lot of those guys are
Yeah, he's
Dominican.
definitely looks like he's from Haiti.
All right, so that guy, yeah, like doesn't need a lot more explanation. It's obvious. I just want to just to show how ridiculous it is. I'm just going to do a quick thing on my screen here for all you guys watching. If I'm going to do a custom filter here, so I'm going to sort by age, and I'm going to go between 16 and 20. And I'm going to sort, I'll go between 21, we'll say 20. And then I'm going to sort every single player in the league current contact and show you how ridiculous this combination is. So if you sort every player in the league under the age of 20 and under, there's only 3 guys with green contact. You get Leduc and then a couple guys 55, 60, Dick Out and Pertrada. Those guys both have 25 and 35 power. So Leduc has 65 power. And if you sort by power, there's one other guy in this list we'll go over in a bit, Miranda, at 75 power current. Leduc has 65, and then there's like literally hardly anyone else over 50. So the fact that he's that high in both categories just puts him in such an insane tier above everybody. And you sort by the potentials and stuff. But yeah, just what an absolute monster, what a monster talent he is. So that's really cool. So I'll go to the next guy in this list here, Gamma, for you. So what do you think about Jerry Reynoso, the KC shortstop? I'll plug him in my thing here and pull him up for the listeners so they can see the ratings on the screen here.
Yeah, no, I'm a fan of him. I definitely love the nickname Gobbler. That's definitely one that you're going to remember. Looking at his ratings defensively, he looks more of a second baseman to me than shortstop. Don't love the range and error, but the bat will definitely make up for it and the speed. So I definitely see him as like a 25-25 guy, maybe like 290 to 300 average best case, giving you like solid defense at second base, which I'll take with that production. And I do like that he's a switch hitter too.
Ooh, yeah, what a tool set. The guy had 12 home runs in rookie ball. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Just the
profile.
one thing I just can't get past the defense a little bit. That's the one thing that kind of sours me a little bit. I'm gonna dig deeper and see if he's potentially also a outfielder. I mean, actually, so he looks like he could be a pretty solid outfield too if you want him to go that way. 55, 60, 65. Like, put him in right. I think he'd be all right.
Yeah, like KC needs any more good young outfielders. They got like 6 of them. Amazing. Yeah, that guy's profile. If he had got any more air, I think like he'd be such an elite second baseman. It's going to be interesting to see if that improves. But the 75 turn double play is pretty nasty for second baseman. The base running at
That's true.
80 is crazy. So the guy, once he gets on the base pass, he's a weapon with that good speed and
I know
stealing.
Drew's probably going crazy right now listening to that, like seeing that guy's going all about steals. So
Yeah, this
we know
guy's
he's definitely
perfect.
gonna get the green light.
$5 million international guy way back in the day. Well, just a couple years ago, actually, in 2024. I was thinking it was a little bit earlier, but the crazy gap power. So I have this guy number 2. It's just too many tools to have much lower. 19-year-old switch hitter. The currents are crazy. Like this guy can play in Double A pretty much right now with 40 current contact, 40 avoid. He could probably hit like 230 or 240 in Double A with a little bit of power and some defense and base stealing. I think he'd be like a positive WAR guy all the way up there at 19 years old. That's how talented this dude is. So right at the top, near the top of the list here for position players. The number 3, I had a lot of debate whether I should put this guy above Jerry here, is division rival, which always scares me a little bit. Josh, guy Josh here. I don't know how to say this name whatsoever. Do you want to attempt it there, Gamma?
I'm gonna go with Delgadillo. It's like if Carlos Delgado had like a quesadilla like kind of combo. That's how I'd say it.
All right, I finally got it in the friggin' search bar here. Correct spelling. This guy's profile is unbelievable. I don't know if your scout likes him quite as much as mine. My scout has a 75 on all 3 of the top category potentials on him, with a
Holy shit!
70 avoid K potential. What do you got on him?
So yeah, not my scout is not as, but I only have an average scouting accuracy, so that might be it. But yeah, I have 65 contact, 80 gap power, and 70 power, but
Still
still a
amazing.
great profile. Yeah, so but like not as crazy as you, and the void K is 65. But yeah, no, he looks like he's gonna just come up to Washington and mash. And like yeah, he can develop a little bit more. Like maybe he can be in center field, but I see him as like a corner outfielder and a very good one.
I love the nickname too, Gon Chan.
Yeah,
That name combination with
definitely.
that nickname is pretty cool. So yeah, this guy is a guy. Just it's like Washington has just developed so much young talent over the last couple of decades. You get Soto, and then they develop like Robles there from Dominican, just a couple of Dominican superstars, and pulling up a bunch of their own drafted guys like Rendon or whatever. So it's just another guy in the long line of star prospects for Washington. Oh, not to mention Bryce Harper. I almost forgot him. Just a
Yeah,
crazy.
famous Dominican Bryce Harpin.
Just a crazy amount of superstar young players Washington has had that have just been up in the majors at super young ages. So I think this guy could follow in those guys' footsteps, probably be in the majors when he's like 19 or 20. Just a crazy skill set overall. That's so much contact and power. That's kind of like pretty much really similar profile to Leduc, my scout thinks. He doesn't have the currents yet, so he's a long way away, and he could maybe not turn out. The ceiling is also really high, but the floor is pretty low. He's pretty young, and but it's just amazing, amazing bat for that age. So that's number 3 on the list. Number 4, we got a guy who's a lot more developed at the moment. He's actually like number 2 or 3 on the OSA's top 100 list. Is Petey Pratt, one of his top superstar prospects here, is Freddy Machado. What's your scout think about Machado?
Oh, he's a fan. Is Machado, was he part of the Barrios trade? Is that what
I think so. I think it
how he
was
got
one
him?
for one. Yeah, 1 for 1. Well,
Okay.
Max Muncy included for
Wow.
salary purposes.
That's a nice that's a nice move for both teams. But Freddie, yeah, he looks like he's ready for Double A and maybe a little bit higher. My contact's a little bit low, but the power I think makes up for it. And he looks like if he fills his potential, he's going to be one of the top hitters in the game, especially power hitters. You don't see many guys with 60 above power, eye, and contact. So that really makes, and potentially avoid K. So yeah, he looks like he could be good. The only thing that's questionable, it seems like he's kind of a shithead, but if anyone can get him in line, it's Peter Pratt.
Yeah, I think that I probably could have him above the Washington guy. Just the fact that his ceiling's probably just about as high, but he's a lot more developed, a couple years older, and he's just got such a developed skill set where he's almost major league ready. He just needs a little bit more contact. But like you said, the power. I got 40-75 power rating on him.
I have the same as that.
Just amazing product. Like he hasn't shown a ton yet. He only had 3 home runs in 89 games, but I think the power did start the year off just above 30, so did go up quite a bit. But it hasn't quite shown that power yet. So who knows if it's legitimate or not? It's a
Yeah.
question with all these prospects. But this guy's profile. If he was in real life like that, they would be saying he has the best power bat in the entire minors as a center fielder with plus range and plus speed. So that's a pretty insane 5-tool guy. That guy is just,
Oh, definitely.
like you said, what a pickup. Barrios has helped the
I think
Mets,
that
but tough
yeah,
to
I
give
think he
up
just
him.
needs to have good influences around him and he'll thrive. But like if they have too many knuckleheads, I could see it going south for Freddy.
Yeah, especially in a young team that might not win a lot of games next few years in Minnesota, but we'll see. He's a year or two away. He probably needs a year in high A and double A, and then maybe be in the majors by 2028. Next up,
Yeah.
Ralph Plant, another Washington National. So Josh has built quite a pipeline of top hitters here in the minors. That might be a little bit scary in a few years for us NL division or NL rivals. What do you think about Plant's profile? He's another kind of a shithead, but he's also a really talented shithead.
Hey. Yeah, talented shitheads work. So, I watched Manny Ramirez my adolescence, so I'm a big fan of the talented shitheads in the outfield. As long as he doesn't throw any old men down the stairs, we're okay. Plant looks like he is going to be an elite contact hitter. Like we're talking potential batting titles from my scout, and above average power. Eye's not that great, but with the Void K contact power, combo, who really cares? Like he'll still get on base potentially like close to like 390 or above. So I think he'd be a great like number 2 or some line must maybe even 3 hitter.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a trend with all these top guys that they seem to have that really high contact power and a little bit lower eye. The game seems to really do a lot of those prospects like that. They don't seem to have a lot of those Juan Soto types, and it makes sense. They're pretty rare to have a crazy eye at the young age, especially. But even the potentials, though, are quite a bit lower. You don't see very many guys with like a 30, 70 eye rating. It's almost always, especially with these international signings, the young guys that we've gone over, they just always seem to have those super low eyes. But anyways, this guy still 40 eye. That's not too bad. But yeah, I agree. I think this guy's just bat on ball skill is so incredible. If you look at the minors, he had 57 games of rookie ball this year. He hit 300, only walked 3% of the time, about the same as Leduc at the higher level. Also, just had quite a bit of a nice bat, though. It's like a 138 ISO. So didn't hit for a bunch of power yet, even though he has that really high gap power. So he didn't hit too many doubles early on, but also was adjusting a little bit. So see what he does next year. I think it's a little iffy because he only has that 25 current, avoid, and eye, my scout says. So I don't know if he's quite ready for A-ball, but I could also see that going up before the season starts and being ready for short season or something. He might put him in advanced rookie for another year. He's pretty young, so there's no rush. But that guy, with his bat and power, though, he could probably get away in A-ball. So it's a little bit of a tricky decision there, but you don't want to push him too fast, especially when they have the bad mentals. But you don't want to hold him back too much. So it'll be interesting to see what Josh decides in that situation there.
So he was the 7th pick overall in this last draft. Do you remember how you viewed him like going into the draft?
Yeah, I had my mind changed quite a bit by Tyler. I remember talking to a friend of mine, Boston guy. He was convinced me a little bit. I was probably going a little too heavy into the mentals. I had him way down on my board because of his bad mentals. But then just a couple days before the draft, I knew he probably wouldn't follow me, so it wasn't a big deal. But I did bump him right up back into right around where he went, like 7 to 10, because I just figured his bat was too crazy to have much lower. But I did consider him as like a do not draft just with the mentals when they're that young and that far from their potential and have that low work ethic, intelligence and stuff. But I think I've been overrating that a little bit. And I think guys like this, he's just too talented to really fall. What's your opinion?
I agree. No, I mean, I'm the same way with you, where I get sometimes a little too obsessed with the mentals. But my theory is like I have a lot of other guys to make up for it that I'm willing to take on, like the talented shithead, and maybe hope these other influences like turn him around. So like I'd rather kick myself and have him flame out on my team than see him go somewhere else and just kill it, especially in division like your case.
Yeah, if him and that center fielder there both hitting like 320 against me in a couple of years at 21 years old, it's gonna be a little painful to have that happen. But yeah, I think his career will be really worth watching for sure. He's a really interesting prospect, really polarizing with some how high some of his tools are and then how low some of his approach is with that 25 avoid, 25 eye. Guys quite a bit of a free swinger. And as I say this, I'm realizing how much he reminds me of Vladimir Guerrero, the father, not the junior, but the father version. One of my favorite players of all time. Another late 90s, early 2000s reference. Just an absolute free swinging monster that makes a ton of contact but doesn't walk very much.
Were you a Expos fan growing up in Canada, or were you always Blue Jays?
I was always Blue Jays, but yeah, definitely as like a second team. My dad always went on, and he hated the high budget teams. Always ripped on the Yankees and Red Sox. So how much more money they had. So he loved those Expos. So he definitely influenced me quite a bit for all those Expos guys that were stars. What do we got here? Bill Miranda next. All right, Miranda we've talked about quite a bit since he's probably the only guy in here and played the longest in the majors. I guess with Leduc. Miranda played a full season up in the majors, and he's still 20 years old. He's not even 21 yet for another week. The Miranda profile, or 2 weeks. Miranda's profile is unbelievable. It got so much better approach-wise through the season. I think he started the year with like a 35 avoid or maybe 40 and like a 40 or 45 eye. So I knew he'd hit a bunch of home runs, but it'd probably be a little bit of a rough patch as a rookie. But I'm really glad to see him turn into the player he has at the major league level. Because I think with that personality, I thought it'd be a pretty good guy to be able to handle failure at the start, maybe hitting 190 for a couple months. But really cool decision by St. Louis there to stick with him the whole year and develop him. And now I think he's going to hit a lot better in year 2. Now that he's a little bit more developed, as you can see, that eye's gone from 40 to 50 in the last year, and the contact's gone up quite a bit. I think the avoid K, which doesn't show on the development screen's gone up. So Miranda's a guy that just, I really wouldn't be surprised if he jumped from like 27 to like 40 home runs next season. Does your scout agree and have the 45 avoid K on him too?
Yeah, 45 and then 50 out of 50 I. So I think he could be a solid OBP guy, especially with that power. Like if he can just get if he can hit like 250, I think that's a big win for you with the power that he's going to provide. And I'm just looking back at that trade that he got from his division rival, and man, that's got to be sneaky, one of the better trades in TLG. He gave up some scrub named Max Schrock, and
AAA, yeah.
he's right now, he's currently in the AAA Mets system. So he's 32 years old now too. So that's definitely one of the better deals that we've seen, especially early on. Props to you, Zach.
I'm looking at his history. It's just unbelievable. I almost forgot how dominant he was in the minors a couple years ago. I have a history on him in like a 3-week period. He had 3 different games with 3 home runs, and he won like 3 Player of the Month awards in like 4 months. He made the 2026 World Cup for Dominican as like a 20-year-old. And you remember how stacked that World Baseball Classic Dominican team was. Holy shit. Soto, Vladio, those guys just nuts. Can't believe they didn't win the medal there. Didn't even make the finals. Cuba beat them or something silly in the quarters. But yeah, this guy is just a freak. And if you look at those ratings, I got 6.7% walk rate on him this year and 29% strikeout. But with those progressions in eye and avoid, if you have a 45 avoid, you should probably only strike out in like low 20s, maybe like 23, 24. So that should drop by like 5% next year. And a 6% walk rate is not bad, but a 50 eye with that kind of power, I'd imagine maybe even higher, like 7.5 or 8%. So I really think both those will improve quite a bit, and I agree with you. Like his approach will be way better, and I think next year I'm really excited. 250 ISO, so wouldn't surprise me if he hit like 270 ISO, but hit way better with the bat. So I'm really excited for his future. Kind of like if you go back and look at those Mike Trout, those superstar young guys like Bryce Harper, Mike Trout played when they're like 19, 20 in the majors, or A-Rod even. Like it's definitely different from like the prime that they entered like 3-4 years later. And some of those guys start off as like 0 WAR guys, and Miranda same thing, like a 0.6 WAR season. But those guys, he might turn into a star. We'll see. I love that power. Next up, we have Juan
I see
Barrera.
a 50 homer home run per year.
50 home runs.
I see a 50. Yeah, that's my bold claim right there.
Yeah, I could see it. 75 power, like that's the best power.
Not next year, but in his career, like in the next 3 years, I'll say in the next 3 years, he'll hit 50 home runs a year.
That would be cool, and especially in that stadium, that'd be tough. St. Louis has a little bit of a pitcher's park, but yeah, it's doable. Sure. I think with that historically great power, it's good against both sides too, but way better against righties. Actually, no, fuck, those splits are way worse than I thought. Check out that if you're still on his page, or the ratings page. Wow.
I'll go back. Hold on.
Holy smokes. You get a lot more of these guys in the future with the made-up players. Get these crazy splits. He only has 30 contact versus lefties.
Yeah.
That's wild. 80 power versus righties, though. Yeah, I could totally see that being, you're right, like a 45, 50 home run power year. 80 power, and about 70% of pitchers are righties, so 70% of the time he's got 80 power. That's pretty nasty. All right, back to Juan Becarra. So Juan Becarra is a guy who is one of the best international scouting discoveries we've had in the game, if not the best. A couple of those guys were $5 million guys that we talked about above. Like I think Leduc, can't remember if Leduc was, but Reynoso and a couple of those guys. I think got it. One of those Washington guys was actually a scouting discovery too, but Becarra wasn't even a $5 million July 2 guy. He was actually a scouting discovery for Boston. Like they needed the extra help. What a monster profile. Do you want to talk about his ratings a little bit on your scout's opinion? Because I've looked at
I love this player. Like this is probably one of my favorite personal can't miss prospects. Just when I factor in everything, when I factor in the rating, the personality, and the system he's in, like I trust Tyler is going to raise him well, and then like he's going to wreak havoc in the league and like 4 years. But to me, he looks like the ideal third baseman. And like we're talking about a guy who could get like maybe like in his prime 6 or 7 WAR, I think, with his defense and power if it comes all together. Like I'm thinking like a serious MVP candidate. My scout loves him. Great high work ethic, high intelligence. That's a great combo, and he's in a good franchise. Like I see a lot of bright things for him.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you there. And the difference between him is he has that eye too. A lot, like we keep mentioning those eyes. Like a lot of the other guys have like 25-35 or 25-40 eyes. I also have like a 55 eye on him. So it's everything across the board. Like you mentioned, it's like plus. So the power is about as good as in the game as anyone under 18. Like 35 current power at that age is nuts. Usually that's the same current, like those top college draft guys have, the top 10 batters. That usually have like a 35-55 power grade or something, like some of those good corner bats. So this guy has that at 17 years old. Just a beast. Love that fly ball hitter profile too. What a talent.
Yeah, especially at Fenway. Yeah, no, this is gonna suck for TLG.
And
good
if you look
Tyler.
too, his 60 outfield range, so he could play right field really well too.
I mean, he looks like a potential Gold Glover at third base with the right ratings, because I really think infield arm is really important. He's got a 70 there, then 50-50. Probably not Gold Glove, but very good defense at third base while giving you elite production at the plate.
Yeah, they have Rafael Devers there, is only 28 years old, so that'll be interesting in a couple of years what happens if Devers moves over to first.
Yeah, Devers could probably go to first.
Yeah, either way, you make way for talents like that, whether they have to move positions or not. Someone at DH.
Or maybe he trades him to like Arizona. I've been trying to get him for like half a month. I've given up though. It's not going to happen. And I feel like this segment's going to make it even more not going to happen. Knowing Tyler can like bend me over and get him.
Seeing how much we like him. All right, next up we got Nate Kraft for Oakland. I love this dude's profile. I know his bat's not quite as stand out as some of the other guys we've gone over, but the fact that he's a catcher really jumps him up the list over some other guys for me. There's just no catcher like this really, and under the age of 22 in baseball. Nate Kraft was a late round pick, 19th rounder that had some crazy TCRs, and his eye has just gotten ridiculous. I got a 40-75 eye rating on him with 60 power. So essentially my scout thinks he's a power hitting catcher with plus catchability. And he's not a great athlete, but it's just so hard to get a good hitter or catcher. The fact that this guy has this profile, just turned 20 years old a couple of weeks ago, means this guy could be like a 4-WAR catcher most likely.
Yeah, I'll be honest. This guy was not on my radar going into this video, but he's looking really good. I pretty much have the same ratings as your scout, except I think I have a little less power, 55 there, but that's still from catcher. He'll take that every day, as well as the above average defense. He's looking like he's looking like he could be someone special. Good OB. You could probably bat him second with that eye. Definitely like what I'm seeing here, and he's high intelligence, so he might even grow more.
The crazy thing is, if you guys type Vader into your search bar, I'll show him on my screen. You can pull him up in yours there if you want, Cam. Just the guy named Roger Vader. That's another catcher they have who's also 20 years old. So they have both of these two catchers. This Vader guy has 45-70 hit tool, 70 gap power, current, and I got a 45-75 void. He doesn't play much catchability, so I don't know if this guy will be a catcher in the future, but he does have great mentals. I could see his defensive improving based on how good his work ethic and leadership is. Also has quite a bit of gap power, makes up for the lack of home run power. So it's just really cool that how good offensively these two catchers are in the same system. Probably the two best young offensive catchers. Pretty crazy.
Oakland's got a lot of interesting young talent. There's one guy who didn't make the list who I thought might is Angel, that first baseman Angel, who's been in rookie for the last few years. Right. I feel like he needs to get called up somewhere, but he looks like he's going to be a stud.
Yeah, we can maybe highlight him in the honorable mentions after. I kind of forgot about him.
Oh, yeah,
too.
Sorry.
No, that's good. That's a good idea. All right, so Louis Hinojosa. I can't say half these names. These names are ridiculous. I don't know if you can pronounce this, but Louis Hinojosa. This guy is a nasty, nasty profile. What do you think about the center fielder, left fielder combination for another Minnesota Twin on here? A lot of prospects on that system for Petey.
Yeah, he looks like he could be a really good hitter and really soon. Like he looks very advanced for my eye. Like his eye and avoid K are already developed. His power is a 45. His contact's 45. He has 60 plus potential power from and so I think he could be a really good like 5 or 6 hitter. I don't think he's going to carry a lineup, but he's definitely not going to hold you back or be a weak point. Like he does. He's one of those guys who kind of does everything well, and that's a really good ball player.
Yeah, I think he can. If he can get away with a center field with that kind of bat, 80 gap power, hit like 45 doubles from center field position with a little bit of home run power, that could be some fill up that stat sheet pretty well. Not a great base runner, but has just about everything else you look for: good defense, good power, good gap power, and decent contact. And I'm surprised looking at his stats here. He wasn't a little better. I actually pulled it up. In A ball this year, the average in power didn't stand off the page to me, and he only had 1.5 WAR. Oh no, sorry, that was a split season a couple of years. Yeah, he almost had 3 WAR, but if you look though, the walk percentage is super high. I had him walking 13% of the time. He had 12% strikeout rate. So the approach is just so nasty for that age. Plays up above his contact and current power ratings for his age. So just a really advanced hitter. Should be able to jump quite a few levels next year and probably be major league ready by next September for sure, I think.
Definitely. I think you could even get away if you, especially with a team like Minnesota where they're kind of rebuilding. I don't think. I mean, he definitely needs some more experience in higher levels, but I think you could if he was in AA earlier, I think maybe you could have got away with trying him in the majors at the beginning of the year. But I think he definitely needs that experience before you go right to the majors. I have a little question about the game for you. So you notice how he has high intelligence and 30 base running. Do you think that combination can improve his base running with his speed, or do you think he's just kind of stuck at 30 forever?
Yeah, 30 is pretty low. That's a good question. I've tried to pay more attention to that. That's why I wish the game showed everything a little bit more. And that's what, if you guys don't know, you can go onto the Stats Plus page and pull up their profile, and you can see the development. It actually shows the stuff because in the scouting report, all it has is contact, power, and eye and defense. So you don't see anything else go up. So you can't tell when their void K goes up. Sometimes you might not notice. Sometimes a guy goes from like 45 to 55 void K because it doesn't show in that development report unless you remember what he had. But so sometimes I always look at a guy. I'm like, I thought he only had 50 speed and he has 60 now. But sometimes I don't know if I'm mistaken. You know, can't trust your memory all the time. But yeah, so a guy like that, I think that definitely, especially the younger they are, the base running can go up. I think definitely the high intelligence helps. But when it's that low, it's one thing to go from like a 45 to a 55 or something. But when it's that low, I don't know if I've ever seen it go from like 30 to 50 or 30 to 60. I think it could go up 5 or 10, but yeah, I don't remember specifically any experience of a guy going from like a 30 to a plus base runner. So I think it'll always be quite a bit below average. But I definitely think could get around average, maybe like 40 or something in a couple of years. I'll start paying more attention to that. But yeah, that page definitely helps. You can even see their weight gain on that page. You hit the development for the players, so you can see like when they gain 2 pounds and when they gain 5 outfield range. So it's really cool to get a more in-depth look at your favorite players if you guys don't know that. All right. Hinojosa. Next up, oh, this is a fun one to talk about. This guy is insane. Most of you guys probably haven't seen this guy because I'm pretty sure he entered the game this week from this sim. The guy that's in the Final Four, Texas, made it to the ALCS with one of the best rosters in baseball, just got a top 5 scouting discovery in the history of TLG. What can you tell us about Alex Ramirez?
This guy looks like the defense is weak again, but he looks like he could be a really special hitter. I'm thinking probably long term, unless he shows some serious improvement in the field, because even like his ratings for first base leave a lot to be desired. But I see him being a great DH, and with the 30 teams all having DHs, he'll have value wherever he goes. But again, like his weak rating in my mind is his 55 discipline, and that's your worst skill. Like you're a hell of a player.
Yeah, this guy's nuts. It's just that contact jumps off the page at that age. 16 years old with 70 contact, and 25 seems really low, but it's also not bad. Like when they're that young, 16, 17, 18, like a 30 is really high for even a college guy. Like to have 30 current batter power. Like a lot of those guys that go in the second, third round of the draft, they're positional players will have 30 currents and everything and like 50 potentials. So this guy already has 25 currents, which is a lot better than 20. And then, so as soon as a couple of those, I got all 5 at 25 currents on them. So as soon as any of those start to go up to 30, it's pretty much ready for like the DSL. As soon as you got a couple 30s on there, maybe a power, especially contact. As soon as they hit 30 contact, in my opinion, they're ready for the DSL or the rookie ball. So this guy might be able to play rookie ball at the age of 17. So you probably keep him in the complex for a full year because he'll still be like 16 and a half when the season starts next year. I'd imagine Texas is very patient too. Tyler's very patient with his development, which really helped out him develop a lot of players in the first 5 years and a couple rebuild years, and now he's like a Final Four team in baseball. So I imagine he'd be in the complex for a year, but who knows? He probably could survive at the rookie ball level even at 16 because he's so freakish. But yeah, I'd imagine we'll see this guy at 17 or 18 in rookie ball, and we'll see what he's like in a couple years. He could be just a freak. 70 power and 60. 70. You do the league. Let's do that now. Actually, sort the league by guys with 70 contact potential, and I'll go this player search here. I'm going to do one. So I'll search by bat ratings, and if you go to Potential. Sorry, I'm always a little slow on this. All right, we'll make one now. I'll go contact potential. So contact potential, I'll make it even just 65, not 75. And then the power potential at 60. And then anyone under, let's say, under the age of, we'll go 24. There's only going to be a few guys on that list. So that's just like the top guys, like Robert Poisson, Kevin Newman, Zac Veen, Chris L.A., Phil Peters, all the super high, like top 5 draft pick type guys, and then just a few more superstar draft prospects that are in high school right now. So it is a very, very select list of guys that have that elite in a bat. I kind of want to go off topic here for a second. In case did anyone get that email about Zac Veen this week? Did you see that in your inbox?
That's such fucking bullshit. Like, that guy needs any more help. He's like, what, supposed to be in the best shape in his life? Like, give me a break.
Because I saw this email,
in his cores.
And I'm pretty sure this is before they get TCRs. Like, it doesn't show, because I got an email like this I saw a couple years ago for that Cubs shortstop that I ended up trading for. It said he got an email like this, and it says, oh, he's been working on his defense like crazy and blah, blah. And I looked, and there's no defensive improvement. And then all of a sudden, I look a few months later, and his range went from like 60 to 75, and his like error went from like 60 to 70. He turned into like an elite top 5 defensive shortstop in baseball. So Veen, like you just said, like, he needs any more help. The dude's already like 4 WAR, so I'm pretty sure this guy is just going to get like 10 points higher in a bunch of his ratings. I think he lost weight. I don't think he was only 190 before, was he? I thought he was like over 200. I can't remember though.
Oh man, I hate hearing that. I mean, David's done a great job with Colorado. So I don't like him getting any more help he wants, and I'll stop jerking him off right now because he doesn't like that either.
Yeah, so like we'll keep an eye out for that. So I want to go off topic for a second. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy just turned in like a top 5 player in the game based. I don't know exactly what those emails mean. It's kind of like a storyline type thing, but we'll see what happens. Keep an eye out for Zeen's scouting reports. So I think Veen might just turn into like an absolute like Juan Soto 9 WAR guy. We'll see what happens, or if it's just like a little weight loss thing and he gets some speed or maybe a little more range or something. I don't know what's going to happen with that. That's kind of one of the cool things about the game, that having those storylines. It's pretty rare. There's not too many of them. I just get the odd email that Gary Sanchez is in like Hollywood flicks, and a couple random ones about Real Mutu sending his son to private school and kindergarten. That's about all I've gotten in the last few years. All right, the last name I have on this list is another Colorado guy. Perfect segue. Back-to-back Colorado guys here. Superstar, young scouting discovery that has a crazy hit tool and 80 speed. Looks like a Kansas City Royal. Hint, hint. Drew might be wanting to trade for this guy with his crazy base running and stealing combination. Doesn't have that center field range, though. That's kind of what stands out to me. I don't know if this guy's more of a corner guy, but he has a lot of blue in this profile, so I didn't want to really leave him off with that much elite blue ratings in his potentials.
Yeah, I know. He looks like... I mean, his personality, too, is just amazing. He's fast as fuck. He knows what he's doing on the base path. He could sacrifice bunt for a hit. Like, I see him hitting, like, high 300s, especially in that ballpark. Just getting on base and then wreaking havoc on the base pass. Defense, I think I'd probably put him in right field with that range and arm combo. But, yeah, that is a great find by a scout.
Yeah, that guy... is perfect fit for that stadium, which is why it's so cool. Like you said, it plays average up and really has a similar profile to their current left fielder, Alec Thomas, who's like a really high contact corner guy. Used to be a center fielder, lost a little bit of range, like a 55 range guy. So really similar profile where they're both excellent runners with excellent hit tools and both 45 power. So really cool young player there. We'll keep an eye on how he develops over the next few years. Not too many guys in the game with 80 speed and 80 base running that have such a plus bat. So that's a pretty cool combination there. So that's it for the hitters. What was the one guy? How do you spell that name? The Oakland guy we were going to bring up, Vigil.
Oh, Angel, yeah, Angel Vigil or something.
Yes.
Virgil, I don't know.
Oh, so I did have him regress a little bit of power. Do you have him?
Oh, yeah.
I got him at 60 power now. This is an interesting player. He's so young a couple years ago, high school bat that had like the 75 power. And now it's down 65. It was still pretty advanced. But yeah, it's interesting to see Oakland. He had him in third year in rookie. And I've always questioned that. I don't know if it's true or not. Like maybe the guy did just kind of randomly go down in his power, but sometimes I hear people say if you don't push them, they don't quite their potential ratings might not go up as much. So I'm curious if maybe he would have been in A ball if he would have developed a little better. So that's always kind of a question when it comes to repeating a guy in rookie for a couple seasons. I know a lot of guys do that. I don't like putting a guy in rookie past the second year, so that's something to keep an eye out for your prospects for the future. But the guy still has really good stats. Like he must have been injured a lot of this year and still hit 320, so it's still a nice looking prospect. Still younger than like a college first round pick guy. He's 21 years old in the next draft. That's how young those high school guys are, even after a couple years in the minors. But yeah, there's not too many first basemen with like 60 and 70 power bats in the game, so those guys are still pretty valuable. Not quite the freak he looked like a couple years ago for me, at least. The eye fell off, actually. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I fell off a lot. I didn't realize that he's 30-30, but he's also a guy who I could see if you put him in, like if you push him up, maybe like some of the stuff starts to come back to him a little bit. It looks like he had 2 pretty solid years in a row in rookie ball. Did he get hurt in 2026? Is that why he only played 9 games? Or
must have.
okay?
I'm just looking that up now.
Oh yeah, he fractured a finger.
Okay. I'm as much